Lord's gonna deal and rock. Saints will tremble and cry for pain, for the Lord's gonna come in his heaven airplane.
What would it be, and would you call it to his face? If you were faced with him in all his glory, what would you ask if you had just one question? And yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. Yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home. If God had a face, what would it look like, and would you want to see? If seeing meant that you would have to believe in things like heaven and in Jesus and the saints and all the prophets. And yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. Yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home. He's trying to make his way home. Back up to heaven all alone. Nobody calling on the phone, except for the Pope maybe in Rome. Yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. Yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home. Like a holy rolling stone, back up to heaven all alone. Just trying to make his way home. Nobody calling on the phone, except for the Pope maybe in Rome.
So one of these nights and about 12 o'clock, this old world's gonna deal and rock. Saints will tremble and cry for pain, for the Lord's gonna come in his heaven airplane.
Hi, good afternoon. I just did something technical that worked. I just did something technical that worked where I asked my thing to, you know, whatever this is, move on to the next scene, and I didn't even have to press anything, which means I couldn't mess it up. So hello, good afternoon. How the devil are you? Um, I want to send my love to Aletta and Clarice in Rio, along with all the other incredible women. I'm going to try and talk about it without crying, but I'll just warn you, I've been up since yesterday morning. I got in about an hour and a half ago, so I'm a little bit tired. And also, a man on the flight woke me up. Well, he didn't wake me up. He thought he was waking me up to tell me to not leave my television on because I was asleep. But anyway, um, I've got so much to talk about. I've got so much to talk about. I'm going to talk about Rio. And I'm going to keep revisiting Rio because, oh my God, what a magical, wonderful place. And I think living in the UK, it's very difficult to think about the kind of the social structure and the way that it works, the way that the country like that works, like the the poverty that you can just see, and the fact that there's a forest in the middle of a city and a huge lake and these beautiful beaches, and it's just incredible. But what they have got that's exactly the same as us, and not now Americans, because Americans, I feel very much like some Americans have just done that thing like they did in the Second World War, which is wait until it was, nearly won, and then they just charged in. Da, 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 da. Oh my God, I've won. Look at all the work I've done for the last 5 minutes. It's so amazing. But anyway, we are still grateful. And to Donald Trump. Look, I don't care why he's doing it. I happen to think he's doing it because it's insane not to. And I think we've forgotten that it doesn't even take a good person. And I'm not saying that he isn't. I'm not making any comment. But it doesn't take an extraordinary person or a good person or anything to do this. It takes a batshit crazy, insane one to pretend that men are women. It takes someone who hates their country and hates the people in it and hates all the women to do it. Right? And good. Hello, Band United. My just wonderful, constant moderator. She gets no reward, no, barely any praise. And yet she's here every single time, and I love her. Thank you so much. So there were a few really standout things, and we will be translating them and getting them out. I just want to tell you the sort of things that I don't know if we can fully comprehend, but one of the women talked about being a domestic servant from like the age of 6 or 7. Um, Other women talked about sort of extreme poverty. Other women talked about being trafficked. I mean, geez, like just extraordinary stories. And then there was a mother who made me cry because she took her mask off. And she's very frightened about talking, and that's why she wore a mask. She didn't want to be identified. And one of her girls had got mixed up in this cult, and as a family they were quite frightened. And she wore this mask, and then she got halfway through through her speech, or three quarters of the way through, and she took the mask off. And those moments of bravery and courage just totally just get me, because so many people don't have any. That when someone gets to that point where they're like, I'm going to do it, I'm just so moved. It's just really quite extraordinary. And after, her daughter, who she was most worried about, who kind of got involved in this cult, sent her a text and said, I'm really proud of you, Mum. Like, well done. That was amazing. I love you so much. I'm really proud of you, which, I mean, God, getting that from a teenager, even without all this stuff, is some sort of massive victory. So I just, if that's the only thing I did in Brazil, that would have been more than enough for me. That would have been worth every penny getting over there. It was it was just so wonderful. And for some of those women, it's the first time they'd actually met in the flesh. And thank you to Clarice and the whole of Matria who organised. And Aletta, who spoke, had the white t-shirt and the animal print bottoms, and she was kind of top of the game. She was it. If you were looking for sort of a modern artist from a very female point of view, hello, I am already home and live. So Donna in the chat is Clarice. We've got X chat now. Oh, everybody on X, we could never see your chat in the live, but now we can see your chat. So as I'm speaking, I can see everybody if they're on Twitter, which is amazing. So so I can do this, for example. See? And everyone can see. So it was just phenomenal. It was great that so many women, it was the first time they talked to each other face to face. And what that does is it gives them just greater connections. And you'll know if you've been to any speakers corner events, that while somebody is that woman online, that you might remember the name, you might remember the handle, you might remember kind of one of the posts. Oh, that woman who did. Very, very different than having a relationship with someone and having a shared experience. So you've always got that. So it was just wonderful to see. So anyway, going back to Aletta. So Aletta was sort of Brazil's up and coming. She was mixing with the fabulous people, like everybody that wanted to get anywhere near. Think about Damien Hirst and his sort of early days of like big shows, and everyone wanted a little piece of him. And that was her life. She'd also had quite a tough life, and she'd had a baby at 18, and she's quite a remarkable human. But she'd basically a troon complained about her, and her whole life disappeared. She got totally cancelled. And Brazil isn't a place I'd particularly like to get cancelled. It's just has a different feel. It's very alive. That's what it is. It's very, very alive. And I would imagine threats of violence are taken by women a lot more seriously over there. Our trans activists basically are not really in positions of power. So the reason we went is because of Isabella, and she's threatened with 25 years in prison. Look, it's the same shit in every single country, and it doesn't matter whether that country's got the most beautiful beaches in the world or the most vibrant city that you've ever seen. Or whether it's a mundane, boring, rundown city in the UK. It doesn't really matter. It's the same. And we need a Trump. I mean, look, the obvious person to be the UK's Trump is myself. But I don't think any party is going to... Well, actually, maybe they will. But we'll see. Anyway, I fancy it. I fancy being Prime Minister. I think I'd be quite good. So, we talked about Rio. I've Let Women Speak is launching a massive, oh my God, it's so good, but I want it completely ready before I tell you about it. But it is a massive, massive project that you can all get involved in. It won't cost you anything, but it will make you feel amazing to be part of something so wonderful. So that's one thing. That's one thing that we're doing here at Let Women Speak. Over in Party of Women, Trump is now King Turf. Well, look, I'd argue that when it comes to proper ultra, I'm like Queen Ultra Tough. I shouldn't put that accolade on myself, and yet here I am doing just that. Okay. So there is a similar. In fact, Aletta came up with this cognitariat, which I guess is a bit like our commentariat. So it's cognitariat. So it's people that like think for a living and do precious little else. But even that is the same the world over. And I don't mean that there's people doing precious little else, but there is the activism that I do, which is very much like raising the alarm. He's a man! And we're going to talk about that. And then there's other activism. There's other activism where you're more concerned about how people feel about you when you speak, when you're more concerned about the audience that you're in, about sort of sticking to form and function rather than actually breaking the spell. So, talking of breaking the spell,
Also, to be here to my best friends and teammates, and we will compete. Thank you for stopping by.
He's a man!
oh, it's not going back to me. It's very simple, isn't it? It's very, very simple. He's a man.
He's a man!
Very simple. This is what we do. We do this. We say what needs to be said. We say it. And in that space, so let's talk about this. So Beth Seltzer, she started Safe Women Sports, and actually she was treated a bit badly by some of the women who were involved in the same sort of fight here. Like she'd ask them for advice, and they'd tell her not to post these photos and not to show what Rachel McKinnon would like, because people would think she was mean by posting a photo of a man looking like a man. And people would think she was mean. And I'm telling you now, if we'd done it my way from the beginning, this would be over. And I'm sorry if you think that's immodest, but it's true. If we'd done it my way, it would be over. If nobody kept those words behind their mouths and thought, a letter, likewise. If we had done it my way and just said, he's a man, right from the off, when somebody said, oh, this is Dave, and Dave's taken the brave and stunning decision to try and get as many erections at work as possible, so he's going to be wearing a skirt, and all the children would call him Mrs. Jones. And what a lovely accepting, aren't we great? Aren't we just, oh my God, we're so great. Aren't we great? No, you're great. No, you're the greatest. Oh my God, you're so great. Oh, you think trans women are women? Oh, you're wonderful. You think they're just exactly the same. You think they're more vulnerable than us. I think you win. So if we just said, hang on a minute, that's absolutely outrageous. What about these girls? What about the girls? Right? What about the girls? Why are we letting this man come into school in a fucking skirt? What about the girls? Right? Had we done that all that time ago, this would be over. Had the nurses, let's talk about the nurses, because that's a case going on at the moment. So there's a nurse that came across this man in the changing room. Now, I don't know if she'd ever worked with him before. I'm guessing that she hadn't ever seen him before until, like, he's practically putting his testicles in her eyes. So and then she complains, and then she loses her job. He's an A and E doctor, people. He's an A and E doctor. So let's say I slip and cut my upper thigh, right? Let's say I'm trying to do a Brazilian and I've only got a bluntish razor, and I end up really slicing myself, and I go in and I say, can I see a female? It's a bit delicate. Can I see a female? And this A&E female, 6'4" bloke with a dick, comes out, and he's going to see me, right? Let's say I'm a vulnerable person, and I wouldn't tell him to fuck off. Let's say I'm a vulnerable. How many people has he seen? How many people has that man seen? How many? How many women have had to pretend that they're not uncomfortable in their most vulnerable situation? How many fucking people has he seen? How many nurses and doctors have worked alongside him and said nothing? Like, I'm not saying at all that woman, Sally, is it Sandy? I'm not saying that she's ever met him before and she's, at all partly to blame. I'm not saying that. But this is what he is.
I use public toilets and I piss on the seat.
That's who he is, right? He gets his rocks off by invading women's boundaries, like more than anything else. That is like their prime. Why else bring his fetish to work if not to invade women's boundaries? And he's done it like massively. And it's so annoying. It's so annoying that so many people have allowed him to do that. The same as all the teachers up and down the country. I don't know whether I talked to nurses in the flesh or somebody told me or somebody phoned in. I can't remember. But recently somebody told me about 2 pervy troons who were nurses on their ward who would kind of hang around waiting for when it was time to be a chaperone. Right? Rachel Dios, for example, what an absolute cog. He has fetish gear of nurses stuff in the night. He looks more of a scaffolder than any scaffolder, right? He just looks like a bloke that does a manual job and enjoys, I don't know, beer. So it's just. And what did he do? He worked in the psych ward, like for extreme trauma and psychosis for women. And the first thing he did is he moved his bed onto the ward. And who said anything about it? Well, only the nurses to say, "Oh my God, well done! Oh, well done! Well done, Dave! Oh, well done, Dave! Oh, that's so amazing! Oh my God, it's so amazing! Yeah, it's really great of you. So you can look at them the whole time." Yeah. So they can never get away from you. Oh, that's so great, Dave. Oh my God. NHS is so wonderful. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when someone says, "Do you think they're men? Oh, do you think trans women are men?" Well, they're all biological males. No. The answer to "Do you think trans women are men?" is yes. Of course I do. You'd have to be extremely moronic, especially if you work for the NHS. Right? I would say, if I was asked that question in a court of law, if I was a witness of any description, and let me just say, NHS, please sue me. Please take me to court about me taking the piss out of you. Please take me to court. I'd really like to sit in a witness box. I'd really like to tell everyone in that court how embarrassing it is that our amazing legal system that goes back to the Magna Carta, that is like just a wonderful kind of measure of what brilliant people we are in the United Kingdom. That our wonderful justice system, right? That our wonderful justice system is totally corrupt. And you've got the NHS that we're all supposed to worship like it's some sort of saint. We've got the NHS and a court of law. And in those places, people are saying, well, do you think men are women? Right? I would have to say to those people, forgive me for my rudeness, but I think it's disgusting that in 2025, we are all here at great expense to the taxpayer to pretend we don't know what a fucking woman is. That's what I would say. I'd probably even say the F word. I'm tired of having to, what's the game? Let's all be nice while we, what's the reality? Oh, cock in your face. Oh, well, some women might find it uncomfortable. We're not saying that they are perverts and fetishes and that they wank themselves stupid when they get home, when they've really made women uncomfortable, especially like young women, old women, vulnerable women on their own. That really gives them a boner, right? What we have to say is, well, I don't want to be transphobic. I don't want to be prejudiced. And clearly there are some really vulnerable people that pretend to be the opposite sex and get sexually aroused by invading women's boundaries. Some of them are vulnerable. Not all of them fantasize about having tits. We have to pretend that. Like, I just want someone to fucking say on paper, recorded in Hansard, wherever it is, like in the court documents, recorded, that someone says, this is preposterous that we're in a court pretending we don't know that fucking women aren't born with dicks. Just someone say it. Just break that spell. Just say it. Oh my God, you would be a hero. You would be a hero. But there's far too... recently, there was a man who burnt the Quran. And then he went to court and he pleaded guilty. I just want to say, if you're going to do acts of bravery, if you're going to take any of these things on, you better see it through. You better damn well see it through. Because I'm running out of patience. Speaking of patience, there were nurses in Jimmy Savile. So Jimmy Savile is one of our most prolific paedophiles. He looks like a paedophile. He sounded like a paedophile. Most people probably knew he was a paedophile. He was very well connected with our royal family, with our media. There's even a photo of him and the guy that massacred all the children in Dunblane. Right? There's Prince Charles, Jimmy Savile, and the guy who killed loads of children in Dunblane, who was an ex-scout leader, and I think it was something to do with paedophilia. Coincidence. But they're all together. They're all together. And he was just well connected, and kind of it was like an open secret. And everybody sort of knew, like, about loads of these men. Everybody knew. But do you know what? And maybe they kind of knew. Some people kind of knew. Some people really knew. But the nurses in the wards with the very sick children, they fucking knew. They didn't maybe know. They didn't think, ooh, do you think he is? They knew. They knew. They knew he was raping children. Really ill children. They knew he was raping corpses. They knew it. And I'll tell you how they knew. They knew because they would whisper to some children, just pretend you're asleep. They knew. But they might lose their job if they said anything. So they just let them carry on raping children. There are people in that hospital in Fife that know that pervert makes women patients uncomfortable. They all fucking know. They know. Why is it a woman has to take him to a tribunal for being sacked? How many people knew? People worked alongside David Hayton. They knew. They knew he'd made some kids uncomfortable. They knew it's fucking mad. And they still went along with it. So let me just look. Here's money where my mouth is. Hang on the basis of the comfort and dignity of girls and women, I'm asking you, telling you, please do not use women's spaces. Makes them feel uncomfortable.
My girls and the other women I am with are very comfortable with me in the bathroom.
Well, fortunately, I'm not your daughter, and my daughter is also not your daughter.
Oh, that's right.
And she
So
would
she
feel.
should stay
She would feel very uncomfortable. No, I
interrupted me.
No,
Come on,
you
excuse
interrupted me.
Excuse
You
me.
interrupted
I'm not
me.
here for a debate. Beth, do you mind?
Right.
I would ask you to please call off your dog.
I beg your pardon. I'm asking you as a mother. I'm asking you as a mother. Do not use female spaces.
And I'm very uncomfortable.
It makes women and
As
girls
a
feel
mother-
very uncomfortable.
as a mother,
you
I
are
am-
not. How dare you?
As
You
a
are
mother,
not a
I
mother.
am very.
You're not a mother. You never birthed your children. You're not a mother, Dawn.
Right,
I
I'm
did the job
just-
of mine, which is
I
even
was
more
asking-
important.
I was asking- So money where my mouth is, right? Now, what happens when you do that is not only do you feel magnificent, but what happens when you do that, when you just open that door to being able to speak the truth, I promise you, it's so good. What they're all anticipating in courts and in meetings with politicians and in meetings with councils and in any sort of meeting where you basically go as a fucking peasant begging, can we please not have cocks in our faces? Can we please not have his testicles resting on our eyes? Could we not? Could we not? I just don't want my daughter to have to see an adult male penis like erect in her changing room. Just please, could you? And we're just ever so reasonable. I don't want any harm to them. Do you know what? I kind of, you come and sexually assault, you come and get your penis out in front of my daughter. You come and be in a space where there are women and girls undressing. I'm not going to lie. I hope harm does come to you. I think that would be justice, right? I think there should be some serious repercussions to you doing that. That's what I think. And I don't mind. You know what? I'll take the justice kind of repercussions. I'm fine with that. I'll take you in a court of law. I'll take you being prosecuted for indecent exposure or voyeurism. I'm quite happy with that. Doesn't have to be like an act of violence. You can just go to prison. That'd be great. Although you probably won't go to prison unless, I mean, maybe if we write about it on Facebook, maybe someone will go to prison. Probably me. So, someone says, any thoughts on this female barrister defending this troon? Yes, she's getting paid. It's her job. She has to do it. I don't know if she believes any of it. I have no idea. But there are barristers up and down this country that defend murderers and paedophiles and rapists. And that is their job. That is the function of the law. You can't just have someone utterly rubbish. I genuinely believe in justice. I think what's more worrying than the barrister is some of the rules and regulations around sort of what you can and can't say in a court of law. And I think that is that's very scary. But I think we all would like the best barrister possible, whatever side we're on in any case, because I do fundamentally believe in the law. And I even what's his face? What was his name? I don't even know if I know his name, but even this guy.
What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love.
Even that guy, whilst he annoyed me and he had his own opinion a bit too much, so that kind of gave me license to be annoyed by him. But he had every right to try and win the case for his client. He has every right. Everyone has the right to a fair and just trial, tribunal, whatever it is. But everyone has the right to that. But if you're going to be a person, a face that stands up for women, then you do have to actually stand up for women. And sometimes you can do it, and you can be as clever as... No, you can't. You can never be as clever as me.
His body is the same as the other girls in the pool.
Everybody is different.
No. Are you saying he doesn't have male organs?
So do you think that
Are you
everything
saying he doesn't have male organs?
I don't think that I think you're twisting words, and I think you have no idea. Actually, let me ask you.
Does he have... No, I'm a woman. That is not a woman.
Can I ask you a
That
question?
is not a woman.
Can I ask you a
Do
question?
you have ovaries?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go on, then ask me a question.
What's that?
Ask me a question.
Are you a biologist?
Oh my god, don't be ridiculous. I'm not a vet, but I know what a dog is. You rely on stupid arguments because you don't have an argument.
No, I have arguments. If you let me speak, we can talk about it.
I'm not an astrophysicist, but I know what space is.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you know how space works. I'm happy to have a real conversation with you if you'd like. If you want to have a conversation.
If you don't think this is going to destroy women's sports, if this is alright with you, then I'm sorry, but it's insane. It's absolutely...
Oh, I really like myself. Look, that was back Riley Gaines. After this, after he's a man, after
He's a man!
the lovely Riley Gaines, who had to stand there next to that massive, great big troon and accept, and he got the trophy and she didn't. That gave her that little bit of push to get involved in this fight, and she's been brilliant. So, the war is won. The war is won. Everyone can go back to their wonderful day jobs. Like the President of the United States of America gets it. Like, that's all you can ask for, really. Because all you have to do now is say, hey, Mr. President, this is happening here. And, he's threatened federal funding and so on. So I just think America's won. It'll be really exciting to see what all those women do next. Just wonderful. But as for the UK, holy shit, we were Turf Island. We were Turf Island, and now we've got to celebrate the Americans again. I hope that culture comes here. I mean, it might, but God, I mean, it's so bad, isn't it? It's so bad. And it's bad in loads and loads of countries. Australia, bad. Although they've had some good news in Queensland where they're going to stop puberty blockers. So, you know, it should be good. It should be good. The Trump, look, I said before he was elected, much to the annoyance of all the women who are my biggest fans, I said that I thought Trump would save the world. I did. I think he will. I hope I'm not wrong. But in this issue, totally saved it. I mean, can you imagine now our prime minister, you know, with so much charisma, meeting up with Trump, and Trump, because he just says stuff, because he's normal, apparently, or he's the most genius person that ever walked the face of the earth, and it's all constructed, and it's not kind of faux pas, but he does it on purpose to just do it. Imagine he says to Keir Starmer, "You still got women, right? You still got men in women's sports." Like, how do you defend that to another world leader without looking like a complete and utter wazzock? Like, really, how do you do it? It's mad. It's totally mad. Becky says that America needs to put it through Congress. Totally agree. Totally agree. But look, let me just show you the little bit from the beginning as well, because there's some of the women in America that fought really hard. I love the woman with the short hair who just is amused. So there's a woman in red. Look out for her. She is one of the first female officers in the American military, and she was Marion Shalom, I think her name is, but she was talking about this back in sort of 2016, if not before, but I first came across her in 2016 as part of something called Hands Across the Aisle. Just phenomenal. Oh, that becomes it. Sorry. And did you see the very young girl in the background, black girl with Thought Criminal? She stood there in Chicago, where it was potentially one of the noisiest events, where they were allowed to come right up to your ear and bang pans and shout in your ear, and she just stood there like this, just poised and serene. And then the lady stood behind me with a veteran. She was just so confident, and she just kept smiling all the time at the troons, screaming in her face. So good, so good. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. I know I'm not supposed to say nice things about myself, but honestly, I watch this stuff and I just think all you have to do is speak the truth in very short sentences. Do you think trans women are men? Yes, of course I do. Of course I do. Everybody knows it. Like, everybody knows it. And then this thing that academics do. Oh, have you got the statistics? No. I haven't got the statistics of how many people think that rain is wet, but I bloody well know they know it is. Anyway, if you'd like to support what I do, which I think you should, because we're going to Nottingham, and at the moment I don't have any security, and we've got loads and loads of troons coming to protest. So if if you'd like me to be alive, then please go to Let Women Speak and buy yourself something nice, for God's sake. Because I'd rather have at least one security officer person, like genuinely well trained person. But it always makes more news column inches and stuff if we're assaulted. So that's great. That's what I want. I'm totally being sarcastic. So please go over to Let Women Speak. Get yourself a little something nice. I will be making an announcement probably on Monday about a new initiative for Let Women Speak. Nottingham is, let me just tell you. Nottingham is 1 till 3. Go over and get a ticket. You can just register for a ticket and then we can tell you where the event's going to be. We are expecting troons. It'll be a jolly good day. Very, very funny because they're always so completely stupid. If you can keep speaking the truth, even when all around you want you to say it in 50 sentences instead of just 3 words, then I promise we will win. If you can just have bravery and courage and understand that the more that you have, the more that other people can have, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Well, because I never lose.
Maybe the sun gave me the power, for I could swim Loch Lomond and be home in half an hour. Maybe the air gave me the drive, for I'm all aglow and alive. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like